to The Green Pretenders,
a sustainably challenged podcast.
My name's Sian.
And I'm Simon, and today we are going to talk about cycling. Now, listeners, you have to know Sian and I are avid cyclists, aren't we? We love our bikes.
We do, yeah. You probably much more consistently than me, as with most things, but I am an avid cyclist when the mood takes me.
And what's your journey with cycling? When did you learn to ride a bike?
I learnt to ride, I think, when I was about maybe 7-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Probably quite old in bike riding terms. And I remember learning to ride on grass first.
Oh, really?
And a lot of friends at school saying to me that was really weird because it's harder to ride on grass.
It is.
Yeah, I couldn't get my head around it as a kid because the idea of riding on tarmac felt really scary. I just thought, well, surely if you fall off on the street or on the pavement, that's going to hurt. So I was really happy sort of bombing around on the grass in parks and things. And then I remember really vividly the first time I rode on tarmac and realising how smooth and wonderful it felt, like I was gliding. But I was lucky because my stepdad is very, very outdoorsy. So he taught me to ride, and then we'd go out mountain biking a lot. So it was kind of good daredevil stuff. So I've always loved cycling, basically. What about you? When did you learn?
I was probably 5, maybe. Does that sound normal? There's a picture. I should really check when, because they're always dated, because you used to get them developed, didn't you? The photos. So yeah, I think I was 5. There's a photo of me on a bike, which I love, like little Simon in Speedos. I'm just wearing Speedos. That is very weird. But yeah, on a bike. Aww. So, but I remember not loving cycling when I was a kid. It was something that we did, and it was sort of normal, and we'd always do that as a family. It's short distance, not really on long cycles, but yeah, I think when I started going to school, actually when I started high school, then I would always ride my bike to school with my sister. And I think that's when I really fell in love with cycling, because it was the independence that it gave me. Yeah,
it's such a good way of feeling like an adult when you're younger, isn't it? Like not needing a lift from your parents to go visit a friend. If they live close by, you can just get yourself around there on the bike, feel like an absolute boss.
Yeah. Do you also have that, like, a sort of driver's license for cycling?
What, is that a compulsory thing in Austria?
No. You can do it, but a lot of kids just do it I think it's primary school, so I must have been 10.
I never did a cycling proficiency or anything like that. I just did my stepdad, the Gary cycling proficiency.
That's probably great.
Yeah, it was. I mean, probably a bit more gung-ho than it should be, but it was good. I remember my brother learning to ride. He was about 3. It was the most bizarre thing. We were in a park, and he had a friend at nursery who was a year older than him, and he was trying to learn without stabilisers. And my brother picked up this boy's bike and just got on it and rode off down the hill on his own, like having never got on a bike before.
What?
And me and my stepdad were like screaming after him, and he was just bombing down the thing. And I just, like, to me, it sums up the fact that a lot of cycling is about confidence and fearlessness. Because my brother is like, as a child, he was just the weirdest little man child. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going on my bike," and he just didn't give a shit about anything. So he just got on that bike and he did it. And I think even as an adult, you can take that to heart, to just think, I've just got to be brave and confident, and this will all be great.
Exactly. And what a lovely transition to your cycling story in London. How did you transition?
There was definitely a transitionary period, definitely. My partner Dave is a very confident cyclist. If we were to cycle back from a restaurant or something, and I'd be shouting at him like, "You're going too fast, I can't keep up with you, I'm not as good as you," and like crying because the buses were getting too close and stuff. But it's weird to think of that now, because now I don't think twice about it, and if anything, I'm a bit overconfident, a bit cocky, which is not good. That's equally dangerous. What about you?
I think it has definitely. London has made me very confident as a cyclist, and as with you, like maybe a little bit cocky sometimes. Like, yeah, I am definitely guilty of that.
What is your go-to way of berating the pedestrians in London when they step out in front of the bikes, or they're just like, you know, walking across the road without looking? I feel like every cyclist has their go-to.
I just obnoxiously like overuse my bell. I don't really shout at them.
So you're an angry bell ringer.
Yes. And angry looks, the evil eye.
Ooh.
And shaking my head.
That is very classy. You just swooping by them with a head shake, a glare, and a bell ring. Oh, that is cutting, Simon.
What's yours?
I think I often go for a sort of whoa, 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 whoa kind of vibe.
Whoa, 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 buddy.
Yeah, exactly. We're telling it as it is. But, Simon, if we have anyone listening who hasn't cycled a lot or is trying to get up the courage to get on their bike, why should they?
So I think there are many, many reasons, but as this is a sustainability podcast, maybe we should focus on the sustainability aspect. And transport is a huge contributor to the climate crisis, and cycling is carbon neutral. It's an individual form of transport, so you're not relying on trains or buses or anything. So you can go door to door where you want to go. And it's carbon neutral and it's good for your health. I think that's how I would sum it up.
Nice. Yeah, I read a statistic that said that if by 2050 bikes and e-bikes make up 14% of travel in cities, which I think is a target that a lot of the world are trying to aim for. So 14% by 2050, it would mean an 11% reduction in carbon emissions.
Wow.
Yeah. In 2018, 6% of travel in cities was biking, and the aim is 14% by 2050.
We've got a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you say, this is a sustainability podcast, so we've got that angle, but the benefits for the individual are also so wide-ranging, from helping your knees to lowering your stress levels to building muscle to mental health.
Absolutely. Honestly, my best ideas happen on my bike, because you can really zone out and you're just with your thoughts, and there's a change of scenery, so you get like what do you say, how do you say that, you get inspiration, yeah, exactly, from your environment. That and running are my good idea moments.
Yeah, I agree completely. I end up coming up with a lot of raps when I'm cycling.
Nice.
It somehow inspires some part of my brain that is a very big gangster rapper, man.
Can't wait for that album. But I think, yeah, I can't believe, I think if I added up the numbers, I've saved hundreds of pounds over the last 5 years. Even though I've had to buy bikes and the maintenance and stuff, but it still comes out cheaper.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for Londoners especially, a lot of this will be very London-centric because that's our experience, but also I think it's the place where it makes the most difference in the UK. So for Londoners, think, you know, if you're using the tube and buses week on week, that's easily like 35 quid a week going to TfL, and £35 a week can immediately be straight back in your pocket just by switching to a bike. £35 a week. That's like actually a lot of money. That's an amount of money that you can just apportion to something else straight away. Say, okay, I'm going to start cycling and start buying a subscription to a gin delivery weekly, or, you know, enroll in a course, or I don't know. What would you spend £35 a week on, Simon?
You know, enjoy yourself more. Yeah, meet up, have a nice dinner, or, you know.
You could buddy up with a friend who also is kind of trying to take the plunge with cycling, and you could inspire and encourage each other, and then both use your money, saved money, to go on like a little friend date every week so that you can incentivize each other. Yeah. So yeah, the benefits are endless.
I think they are very convincing. I think so what do you think is, from your experience talking to people, why do people not cycle? Because it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to talk about it as a no-brainer because we are confident now, right? So we've like forgotten those dodgy parts, and I completely empathize with the fact that it's not that simple for a lot of reasons. So I think one obstacle can often be just simply not having a bike and not knowing whether it will be worth investing in one and where to get one, and secondhand or new and all of those things. I think secondly, the fear of danger. It is scary. I feel like those are the things I've heard people talk about most often. What do you reckon?
I think so too. I think it's traffic, it's other cyclists, it's often the weather as well.
Yeah.
But we've just had the driest May in history, and if anything, the weather's getting drier. And as sad as that is for the environment, at least that could encourage us to use the bike more and not be discouraged by the weather.
Also, there's no harm in being a seasonal cyclist if that's really something that causes you a lot of stress about it. Yes, it is tricky if you have a certain type of job. Maybe there won't be anywhere to change or dry off at work if you have to get drenched on your cycle in. So that's a very legitimate thing to be concerned about. But it's kind of like what we were talking about with the meat thing, like meat for a treat. There's no harm in doing something as far as you can commit to it. You don't have to have a binary choice of not cycling at all or always cycling. You could say to yourself, I'm going to be a summer cyclist, a seasonal cyclist, and during the winters or when it's raining, I will take public transport. But that's still a big step. You can take that step and make a difference.
And you could just enjoy the lovely sunny weather on your bike, and there's a cool breeze, so it's actually refreshing getting on your bike sometimes when it's really hot.
And when it comes to not having a bike at all and where to start, the cycling community are a very keen bunch. So the amount of advice you'll get online and from cyclists that is endless. One thing I would say about that is a second-hand bike might seem like a really good idea to get you started because you can spend less and, it's not making too much of a commitment up front. But there is something to be careful about, because ultimately, if you get a second-hand bike that is so run down and battered, it could turn into a bit of a money pit just trying to maintain and repair it.
Yes.
So absolutely get a second-hand bike if you prefer to just give it a go and not spend too much up front, but make sure that it's in a good enough condition that it's not going to be a false economy and just drain all of your money in trying to make it rideable, basically.
Exactly, Sian. I have had, in those 5 years in London, 4.5 actually, I've had 5 bikes. This is my 5th bike, because me, like I always like to save a penny.
Frugal, very frugal.
Very thrifty. And I think I'm just going to get one on Gumtree. From experience, if you don't know anything about bikes, I would not necessarily go for a second-hand bike off Gumtree. If you want second-hand, go at least to a bike shop and get a professional's opinion on it. Check, for example, the wheels, that they're not bent, that all the spokes are where they should be, like nothing's broken. Check rust. So there's a few things to look out for, I think. I now have a second-hand bike, and it's very good. It's a single-speed bike, so it's very easy on the maintenance, but it's not perfect, and I will probably need to get it fixed soon. So yeah, it can easily turn into a money pit. So I would definitely agree with you. So I think we could talk about this for hours. I would say, listeners, if you have any questions, don't be scared of asking questions, or even asking a friend to come along with you on buying your bike. It could be fun to go bike shopping with a friend who is a cyclist and who knows a lot about bikes.
Absolutely, yeah. If you are going to use your bike for commuting, or you're interested in doing that, a lot of workplaces at the moment have cycle to work or bike to work schemes where it's to do with getting the bike tax-free through your work. I'm not 100% sure how these schemes work, but definitely check with your workplace before you invest in a bike and see whether they've got a scheme running that could sort of alleviate the financial commitment a bit. Just give it a Google and check in with your HR.
My housemate did that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And in terms of the confidence building, if you go to bikeability.org.uk, there's loads of information on there about where you can start in terms of cycle proficiency training courses and just, just getting in there, getting in the community and then starting to build your confidence.
Great. So maybe I'm going to round up 5 tips for all the listeners, because we've been rambling on a lot. So Simon's 5 tips. Tip number 1, have a reason. Why are you cycling? Is it to get to work, to go shopping, to meet your friends? Be clear about your purpose. It'll make it easier to get into cycling. Tip number 2 is your choice of bike. Do you need something sturdy like a Dutch bike? Do you need something light because you live on the 2nd floor like me and you need to drag it up every single day? And then maybe get it in your favorite color. Make it an enjoyable experience as much as you can.
Get stickers if you want. Spray it if you want. Make it something that you're proud to own.
Exactly. I've got a big Extinction Rebellion sticker on mine, and I'm riding that through London thinking like, yes. Tip number 3, get the gear that you need. So you definitely need a lock, sturdy, good lock, where you can also lock up both your wheels.
People recommend, as a starting point, that you should be looking to spend at least 10% of the value of your bike on your lock. So it's not something to scrimp on.
No. If you invest in a nice bike, also invest in a good lock. Get a helmet is essential. Absolutely. Never cycle without a helmet. It's dangerous. Get your lights. Maybe 2 sets would be good. So you have a spare one if the battery runs out. Mine are USB chargeable. And then I would additionally get a bell and also maybe get a pump.
I wish there was a bell that had a friendly sound. That's my only qualm with bells.
I know, they're very aggressive, aren't they?
I wish that someone could invent a cycling bell that was just like ding 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 ding. But yeah.
Number 4 is your bike maintenance. So think about maybe an annual service that you're going to do, or learn some basic skills like changing your tyre, changing the tube yourself, fix up a tube, and change your brake pads when they're a bit worn down. It's all good safety.
Top tip, if you've got an inner tube that is salvageable and it's just a small puncture, or a slow releasing puncture or whatever they're called, pop your tube in a bucket of water so that you can see where the bubbles are coming out and you can identify exactly where the hole is, and then you can just tape it up with a nice kit and you're good to go.
Exactly. And then my 5th tip is just be persistent. Get on your bike, don't be discouraged. If you have a bad cycle, just get back on it and be persistent, and you will build confidence and you'll become a cyclist, even in London.
Absolutely.
Right, I think that brings us to the end of the episode, and that means our eco whoops.
Dreamy. So we're sticking with 2 eco whoops because lockdown is easing, but it's still not over, and the world is a very complicated and stressful place to be right now, so it's whoops all the way. My first eco whoop is an update on my coffee scrub that I mentioned in our last episode.
Nice.
I've now made and used it. So it was very simple. I just took the used coffee grounds, some melted coconut oil and some sugar, just some normal caster sugar, mixed it all up, and it's bloody lovely. It smells divine. It's very soothing and smoothing, and I've just popped it in an airtight pot, and that's in the shower now for use, and it's lovely.
And does it wash off easily?
Yeah, it does make your skin a bit waterproof.
Yeah.
So in the shower, suddenly the water was bouncing off, and I was like, oh. But I kind of just left it, because then the oil just sinks into your skin over the day. It didn't bother me.
It's moisturising as well.
Exactly, yeah. And you can put a little catcher on your plug so that it catches the coffee grounds if you don't, just to kind of stop your plug getting blocked up.
Cool. So my first one is freezing lemon juice. Because I buy my lemons at the market and you get a lot of lemons for £1. But then I wasn't quick enough to use them up, so I would produce food waste because they would go mouldy, because usually they're a lot riper as well at the market. So I just squeezed them all, put them in an ice cube tray, and made lemon juice ice cubes, and they're lovely. It's great. You can just pop them in your soda or a glass of water, in your tea. You can take it out a little bit earlier and then put it over your salad as a salad dressing. It's just, I think it's a very sustainable way of using lemon juice and not letting it go to waste. It's very refreshing.
That's so great. I bet they look cool as well.
They do look cool, yeah.
My second one, as a tribute to the episode topic, is my bike. It's called a Juliet Speeder. It's a hybrid bike, so it's good on the road, but also it can manage sort of like dirt tracks and the grass and things like that. She's an all-round legend, my little bike. And linked into that, I'm going to give another shout out to an app that was recommended by good friends of the podcast, Shaz and Gigi, Wonder Women, Komoot, which I still haven't used. I'm so sorry, Shaz and Gigi. I will get round to it, but it basically recommends walking and cycling routes in your local area just to open up little places that you might not have known about before. So I'm going to use that to kind of get out on my lovely Juliet soon.
Nice. My second one is wooden chopping boards, because they are aesthetically pleasing, they're very sturdy, and I would recommend everyone chuck out your plastic chopping boards. I would go as far as say it's a health hazard, because you're actually chopping up microplastic and then that gets in your food. So throw them in the recycling, but switch to wooden chopping boards because they're just better. And wood has certain antibacterial qualities. And top tip, if they are very dry and you feel like they're breaking a little bit, put some oil on them, like vegetable oil. It sinks into the wood, it makes the wood last longer, a lot sturdier, and it also looks really nice.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to go oil my boards.
Great. All right, that's it for this episode. Sian, where can people find us?
You can find us on our bikes, Simon.
Yes, that's where we are.
But no, on the internet, you can find us at Green Pretenders. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the whole shebang. Where can they write to us if they would like to?
You can send us an email at thegreenpretenders@gmail.com.
We would love to see pictures of you with your bikes or on your bikes. Tag us at Green Pretenders and show us some biking love, y'all. And we would also love it if you would like and subscribe and leave us a little comment wherever you happen to find us.
Yes, get on your bikes now.
And also always remember that the pod is always greener.